Hey, thanks for joining me again. Ferdinand Magellan 08, Jim here. Just a quiet, slow Saturday night. Been sitting here listening to Boombox Radio on Alt Nation. It's Sirius XM. At Sirius XM channel 36. I had to look at the radio, see what was playing. I had the sound turned down for video reasons. Well, anyway, been a hot day today. Upper 90s. Spent the day grilling out. Grilled for some friends. Same old stuff. Okay, well, anyway, what I have for tonight that I want to show you is, for those of you who work in the roof truss industry, manufactured building components, in case you're wondering, exactly, how it was done before the days of computer engineering, you hear all kinds of stories about when roof trusses were invented, when they were used, how long ago. Of course, all this predates computerized engineering. So, but you never hear, or if you do, it's rarely spoken of, of the work that went into how it was done before they had the computers that created the cutting bills that you get today. So what I have here are a couple of dimension manuals. These are very old. If you look somewhere on here, the lighting's not very good. Copyright 1971. So that tells you about how old they are. Well, anyway, this is a gang nail book for top and bottom chord dimensions, and this is for a double W dimension. Double think is what they're called now. And he said they didn't work out of this book a lot because they didn't do a lot of the double think configuration. That there was they used a common think or a regular HAL or a K series. He never called it by these traditional names because he was just he'd been around this long enough that it was all they called it, the double W, the K series, and he said that's what he worked out of the most. Well, anyway, so what I'm going to show you is a little bit is how this book works and how this book works. I'd seen him use this, go through double checking cutting bills before in the past. And he showed me how to use this book, and it's kind of interesting. Shows how it all goes together. And he also said that there was a lot of books that you had, for each series of roof truss, and also you had a book that had their angles, and of course you had your bottom chord. It would give you your 2x6s and 2x8s. That. So I'm going to go ahead and show you a little bit on how this works. Okay, so what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to open this book up. That's kind of has no importance. For a quick example, I'm going to go ahead and thumb through to a 412. Okay, so you see all this bunch of numbers here. Let me go ahead and zoom in a little bit closer. Okay, so if we're trying to figure out, top chords, if we're doing like a 24-foot 412, come down here, you see span, and of course 0, 2, 4, 6, and 8, 24 foot, right there, and we come over, and you'll see your top chord is 12, 7, 13. And of course, if you had a 24-foot 2-inch truss, it would be 12, 8, 13. And 24-foot 4 is 12, 9, 14. 24, 6 is 12, 10, 15. And that was how you went by on your cutting bill, so you had to actually look it up. Now the trick to this, say you wanted a 24-foot truss, 412, with a 1-foot overhang on each end. So you would add your overhang to the dimension. 1 foot plus 24 foot, you got 26 foot. So you'll come down here and look up 26 foot, you have 1387. Where it gets tricky is if you have like a 24 foot 1 inch truss. And of course it gives you your 24 foot even, 24 foot 2. So what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to come over here, subtract your 12, 7, 13 from your 12, 8, 13. So what you'll do is come over here, 12, 8, 13. Move this over here where you can see it. Minus 12, 7, 13. 13 minus 13 is 0. 8 minus 7 is 1. 0. Okay, so there's 1 inch difference. Take that, split that in half. You have ½ inch. Okay, so you'll take that ½ inch, add that to your 12, 7, 13. (13 and 8 is 21/16. 16/16 is an inch. So you have 5/16. 7 and 1 is 8, 12. So a 24 foot 1 inch truss, no overhang, would give you 12. That would be your top cord, 1285. You have to add and subtract. That's what you had to do to get your top cord. Now it kind of got trickier when you had to add dimensions, when you had 2 different overhangs. Especially we have a builder that's local who makes trusses, and of course he uses an 1.5 inch gutter board. So, and he orders his trusses with a 10.5 inch overhang. So you have to take that into account. That's when it gets tricky. Now the next thing is the Double W Cutting Dimensions book. Let's go ahead and fan on down to 412. Okay, so, and it's pretty much the same way. It shows here your web A, web B, web C, and web D. And of course, now on your modern cutting bills, it don't give you a letter configuration. You have your web 1, web 2, web 3, and web 4. So, say if we're going to make a 30 foot 412 truss. Web A, which is this web right here, would be, if I can get my, let's see, yeah, 30. Okay. Web A is 5.5.13. Web B is 3.7.14. Web C is 4.10.12. And web D is 1.9.15. And what he said is you got your links from this book, and there was another book that you'd have to refer to that gave you the angles for the webs. And also, you know, let me find this page again. And also, you know, entering the charts. Let me back the camera up a little bit. Of course, entering the charts, you had your, you know, your 30 foot, 30 foot 2, 30 foot 4, 30 foot 6, 8, and 10. And it did the same way. In order to come up with, you know, if you had an odd length, you had to subtract, you know, the 2, then split that in half and add that. So yeah, back then it wasn't so easy. And it was a little bit more work, but you'd think, you know, it was all they had. Also, this chart here, I really don't know what that is indicating. Let me get it turned here. For larger than a 2x4 bottom chord, table of constants to be subtracted from actual truss span in order to enter setup charts when using bottom chords other than 3.5 or 3 5/8 inches deep. So I really don't know what's going on there. He never did show me. And of course this book has a similar chart also in the front, but what this does is showing how much to add for your overall length. And it doesn't really give you anything for bottom chord dimensions. I mean, you know, it's kind of easy right there. You know, if you have a 30 foot, you know, 2 15s or a 30 or a 16 and a 14, which is what we do commonly, is a 16 and a 14 for a 30 foot. So anyway, yeah, so basically some old manuals. Like I said, he told me that you had, you know, your top and bottom chord, you know, and of course you had a book for every truss configuration, and there was a book that accompanied that for the cutting angles. Then you had your books for your hips and your jacks, and he said, but they didn't work out of that book a whole lot either. And he said that, you know, of course, over time, that this was all that survived. So anyway, I thought this would be interesting, and I thought some of you all might, you know, find an interest in that also. So yeah, the truss, you know, industry has come a long ways, you know, since 1971. Actually, it's even older than that, because one of these books here, there's a copyright on it from 1969, and of course it's got a confidentiality disclosure in it. Oh yeah, here, this book right here, yeah, copyright, you know, automated building components incorporated 1969. Yeah, of course none of that's really confidential anymore. It's pretty much a lost or a discontinued art, to say. So anyway, that's about it, and I thought you might find that interesting. Thanks for watching.